Welcome back to Talk Jamaica. We are streaming live at talkjamaicaradio.com and also on Carib Rhythms Radio. My name is Sanjay Lewis. My co-host is Ralston Chamberlain.
Good afternoon, Sanjay. Good afternoon, listeners. Dr. Christopher Tufton recently lost the runoff between himself and Councillor Devon Wynne to represent the Jamaica Labour Party in the constituency of St. Catherine, West Central. Dr. Tufton, a former agricultural minister in the Bruce Golden-led administration, lost his Southwest St. Elizabeth seat to the current Member of Parliament, the PNP's Hugh Buchanan, by 13 votes.
Is his political career dead, or does he still have a fighting chance? What's next for him? What are his thoughts on vote buying and pork barrel politics, which have been in the news of late? Well, Dr. Tufton now joins us. Dr. Tufton, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, very good, thank you.
That's great. Dr. Tufton, let's jump right into it. Do you still have aspirations to be in the next parliament?
Well, depends. It depends on a lot of things. Depends on if there is an opportunity to serve. It depends if that opportunity is available to me and is compatible with my own ability to contribute. If not, then I'll serve otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Let's look back at what happened in the last runoff with Devon Wynne. You have expressed some concerns to the party about the voters list, etc. Have the party responded to you as it relates to that?
There was a meeting with a delegation from the constituency this past week, where a number of those issues were ventilated, and the party through the secretariat indicated that they'll be back to the delegation. So we're still waiting to see what will come out of it.
Is it a case, though, Dr. Tufton, that if the party should respond to say that the issue is final, then that's it? Are you moving on? Are you looking at possibly another seat that you probably would want to represent?
All of that is conjecture and speculation at this point. I'd prefer to await that response and then we take it from there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, Dr. Tufton, because some persons felt that you kind of parachuted yourself into the South Central West Central St. Catherine's seat, which is a safe seat, and you should have stayed in Southwest St. Elizabeth. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I don't understand the description of parachuting anywhere, and even the description of safe seat. That seat has been won in the past by the PNP, and of course is being held by the JLP. So that's not necessarily an absolutely factual statement, although I know it has been bandied about. The other issue, though, is that the seat had a vacancy. Persons applied. Persons went through an interview, including myself, at the level of the party selection committee, and we were given the go-ahead to go in the seat. Any seat is available to any Labour Party member if they so desire, and as long as they pass through the process, then nobody should be making any claim about anybody's entitlement more than anybody else to represent the people in that constituency. Ultimately, it's about going through that process, and as we did leading up to this point.
Mm-hmm. And so my follow-up question then, Dr. Tufton, would be, we have interviewed one of the staunch supporter of Devon Wynne on this program, and one of the things that she indicated was that you should have stayed in Southwest St. Elizabeth, and given now that seemingly Buchanan is under pressure, then you would have garnered ground and would be able to defeat him in the next election. How do you respond to that issue of you not staying in Southwest St. Elizabeth?
Well, I don't know who you're referring to. We had on the program. None of us are prophets, and frankly speaking, anyone can say anything to suit their own ends. But there is that there was a particular context in which I left Southwest St. Elizabeth. I recall that I did not leave after the elections were lost. I left after we had the internal issue related to the Senate resignation letters, and after those letters were triggered, I opted out, having had a discussion with the party leader, indicating to him that I thought my position and legitimacy was compromised based on those Senate resignation letters. And I would not have been the right person at the time to pull the seat back together and to move it forward. So that resignation didn't come right after the general election. It came after, almost a year after, when we had the issue with the Senate issue. So I mean, persons who do the analysis should consider the entire context and include that in the analysis rather than make those statements which clearly may serve a particular end.
Okay. I want to step away from that a bit, Dr. Tufton, and look on the issue of delegates race. And we realize that a lot of good politicians have been rejected by delegates. Lloyd B., Damian Crawford, you yourself, Dr. Tufton, and we realize Raymond Price had to eventually step aside. Let me ask you, do you think that Jamaicans are ready for a new type of politics that people like a Tufton, a Crawford want to offer to us?
Well, I mean, I don't know if all the circumstances can be considered as the same.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen a number of issues unfolding as it relates to different candidates, and delegates have expressed themselves. I've also seen, issues related to the fairness of the process, and some persons have accepted the process, others have not. In my case, I've obviously raised some concerns, and I do believe that it would have been different if the process was administered in a more transparent way. Having said that, it's part of the cut and thrust of democracy, assuming that the process is fair. And when one looks at the number of the sentiments of the general populace at this point in time, when you look at the national public opinion polls, if you were to reconcile both, it's clear that there is a general trend of disaffection among the populace towards the political process, towards the level of representation they have gotten or are getting, and it seems to be affecting both sides of the political fence. It does. When this happens, it's not wise to ignore it. It's important to assess, to analyze, and to do what may be necessary to re-engage and reconnect and to overcome that sort of high level of apathy. So that you may be correct that there may need to be some of that taking place now.
But how do we bridge that gap? Because we realize with Don Anderson poll just coming out, persons are just genuinely not interested in politics. But we realize that the delegates are pulling in another direction. So how is it that you find that middle ground where the delegates can be happy and then the wider voting population can be happy with the cadre of persons who we're putting up to represent us?
Well, that speaks to the need for the political parties to have to reflect on the base of the political parties, which is the delegate structure, to reflect more the sentiments of the wider populace and not be unduly influenced by narrow and particular circumstances. Unfortunately, and it's not in all cases, so let me make that clear. Too often we do find cases of manipulation of the delegate process, and it appears to be the case in both political parties. And where that takes place, which is not in all cases, but where it does take place, it does manifest itself in a sentiment that is expressed that may not necessarily reflect the sentiment of the wider populace. And if that is the case, it is a problem, because it means that the parties may be going in one direction while the people are going in another. And that's not what the initial objective of the political structure, starting with the base and going up, is supposed to achieve. There, that issue. Then the politicians have a duty to correct it, firstly by ensuring the transparency of the process that they administer, and secondly by building confidence in the populace for them and the options they offer, by ensuring that the people's right to choose is in fact reflected in a fair way.
I mentioned something earlier about Damian Crawford, and it just came to my mind, and I want to ask you, if the party, Dr. Tufton, would offer you to run in East Rural St. Andrew, considering that Damian Crawford is now out, and persons are saying that that seat probably can swing to the JLP, would you consider going to East Rural St. Andrew?
I haven't really considered any option at this point. I just want to bring closure to West Central St. Catherine. You have to understand, this is not a personal choice alone.
Yes.
You work with people, you work with a team. They depend on you as their standard bearer to represent their interests and their rights. And you don't just run from one place to the next unless there's good cause and good reason and you bring closure to what you're doing. I mean, I left Southwest St. Elizabeth in a particular context, as I said before, and that was because I felt my legitimacy as a member of parliament or as a caretaker was compromised. In this case, I've offered myself, and there are concerns, and those concerns need to be addressed. And so the issue of another seat really doesn't arise at this point in time. We need to bring closure to this particular issue. I'm not sure why you would connect the Damian to myself, because obviously we're not in the same party, and I'm sure the other rep in that party is preparing himself to. And there is also a JLP candidate, by the way, in East Rural. My colleague, Senator Alex Williams. So I wouldn't want to cause any confusion at this point in time when otherwise I'd be accused of creating mischief,
yes,
which I've been accused of before, but I'd prefer to be accused of it without good reason rather than with good reason.
Exactly, because if you look at social media, you have persons who are saying the race is done and somebody was elected, selected, why then is Dr. Tufton coming out to the media creating mischief? I've seen that on social media.
Yeah, I've also seen persons expressing on similar social media the rights of myself and those who have expressed concern to be heard. So, you get both. In fact, I've seen more persons, based on my preliminary monitoring of social media, expressing the right to be heard rather than being condemnatory or being critical. Not a zero-sum game. You're never going to get everybody on board, and that's cool. Understand. Everybody have a right to express themselves. I've never been in disagreement with that. But the fact is that there are concerns. The process allows for those concerns to be aired, and that's what those who have worked with me have done, and myself as their standard bearer have done, and I have rights to do.
What do you say to some of your detractors who are now arguing that you have been damaged politically and your political future is in limbo?
Well, I say to those persons, again, that's their right, and I respect their right to express themselves. But to be as extreme as that is not to understand political history in any jurisdiction. And you may want to remind them of some of that history. There's hardly a member of parliament who has served for an extended period currently in the parliament who has not lost a seat, including some of those who have become prime ministers, and who have not lost a seat more than once. I don't compare a selection to an election. In Southwest is being compared with the candidate selection in West Central, and it's two different things. One is about the people and generally, and one is about the delegates. But you could refer to the names. I mean, Horace Chang has lost, I think, once or twice. Barry Kenbaugh has lost. Donald Sangster has lost. PJ Patterson lost at one stage. I mean, we could go on and on. So it really is an issue of commitment to a process. You have to be what you're fighting for, what you're committed to. I'm not saying that it may mean serving in that capacity or at the parliamentary level. It may not. It may mean other things. But I don't think anybody should be as sort of extreme as that in their conclusion, unless they have other motives for saying so.
Mm-hmm. One of the things out there in the public domain, Dr. Tufton, is that you are seen as one of the heir apparent to the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party, or you are seen as one who could one day challenge Mr. Holness. Do you think that had any bearing on the process in terms of the irregularities of which you speak?
I don't speculate on these things. I mean, I have not been the one to be pushing that line about leadership and challenge the leader and all that. I mean, everybody knows my position as it relates to the leadership a few years ago. I supported an alternative, Mr. Shaw. I have also been on record as saying those elections were completed. Then we rally behind whichever leader emerges and we move forward. Again, that's a healthy part of our democratic process. I'm not sought to represent a constituency because of any other ambition except to represent those communities. And I would certainly not want to speculate as to some of the concerns I have, other than raise those concerns with the Secretariat, headed by the General Secretary, and to request of him and the team that he presides over, that in the interest and the spirit of democracy and the workers and the Labour Party organization on the ground in that constituency, he gives due consideration to their concerns. That's as far as I'm prepared to go. I certainly wouldn't want to speculate beyond that.
All right. My final question would be then, Dr. Tufton, is that Mr. Holness has indicated that he would welcome you on board to help to bring the party to a victory when the elections are called. Do you think that you are willing and ready to serve in a capacity different from that of being a standard bearer?
Well, I tell you, I mean, I've always been willing and ready to serve. And so the answer to your question is always willing and ready. I am a member of the Labour Party, and I am committed to seeing the Labour Party do well. And you know, when that time comes, we'll just assess and determine if that's the best way to serve, and if what I'm being asked to do, I can in fact do it for whatever reason. So the desire is there to serve, and so it's just a matter of determining what is compatible, or reconciling those desires with what is being offered when that time comes.
And the final one, I know I did say the final one. Do you think that, given what you are seeing now in the political landscape, that if and when the elections are called, that the Jamaica Labour Party would be able to come out as the government, as the winning team?
Well, again, I'm not a prophet, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. I am a member of the party and would like to see the party successful, if that's what you're asking. We and whatever way I can contribute to that process, I certainly will. So it's a team effort at the end of the day. Everybody has a role to play, and the extent to which the team can come together and work together, I think, will strengthen the possibility of us doing well. So we will all have to play our part, and I'm prepared to play my part.
All right, Dr. Tufton, we want to thank you for having joined us here on Talk Jamaica Radio, and we look forward to hearing more from you as the days go by.
Thank you. All the best.